Hi, and welcome to 647, 6 stories for 7 a.m. because there's a famine of truth in our land. And this is your quick news fix. And the truth starts now. And the truth is, it's hump day. It's Wednesday. You're going over the top today, right? We're starting to look at the glide slope and where we're headed. It's the weekend. It's the promised land, okay? So let's get to it and take one. Dems keep government shut down for the 13th vote, the 13th time. They are making sure that the government doesn't open. Why, inquiring minds might ask? Because on Saturday, Noviembre 1, that's when SNAP, that's when welfare benefits are supposed to show up. And when they don't show up, my belief is, from all the scuttle that I read, is that the Brotherhood of Benevolent Billionaires has gotten together to pay Riot Inc. for violent riots because of this, all targeting Republicans, all with paid riot participants who will all be viciously anti-Trump and blame it all on Trump and encourage the angered populace to attack grocery stores and, above all, to attack Whitey. All right. So Senate Democrats on Tuesday blocked the House-passed government funding bill in the chamber's 13th vote on the measure, ensuring the government shutdown continues. Thank you, Chuck Schumer, leading that whole thing. The bill would fund the government through November 21 if passed with 60 votes. The measure failed by a 54-45 vote, the Hill News outlet reported. The government shutdown has reached its 28th day. Just 3 Democratic caucus members voted for the bill: Fetterman of Pennsylvania, Masto of Nevada, and King of Maine. Senate Minority Leader crying Chucky Schumer said ahead of the vote that Republicans need to negotiate an extension of expiring Obamacare health insurance subsidies because Obamacare is so horrendously unaffordable that the government has to provide subsidies just to keep enough people in it. It's disgusting. And never, ever forget the evil perpetrated on everybody by Barry, the fairy, and Hillary, and the Dems. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. And what's the truth of that? It was a lie coming out of his mouth. And now people have to choose between Obamacare and keeping their home, right? And our feckless geniuses can't come up with a way to dust this off. You know what? I guarantee that my father's generation, were they in this situation, they would take care of this ruthlessly and quickly, and there would not be all this lawfare. But we're just playing a game constantly, and we're the stupid puppets in this whole thing. So thanks, Barry. All right. Take 2. Arctic frost, now we find out, was surveilling 160 Republicans, all illegally. Unbelievable. The GOP-led House Judiciary Committee disclosed Tuesday that more than 160 Republicans, including many closely connected to President Donald Trump, were targeted for possible investigation during the Biden Justice Department's Arctic frost investigation. The committee tweeted that recently reviewed documents show The Arctic Frost investigation appears more wide-ranging than initially believed in Biden's DOJ's effort to take down President Trump and his supporters. A weaponized DOJ, a weaponized FBI, and guess what? Most of those bad actors are still in the FBI, and Dan Bongino and Kash Patel cannot do their work and deal with all the enemies within behind them. Something else, a new paradigm, needs to enter the fray here. It's going to be November on Saturday. November, and nobody has been perp walked yet. That is absolutely, totally, utterly unacceptable. And it's making everybody who backed you people feel like chumps who have been used. Can't go on forever. The committee tweeted that recently reviewed documents show the Arctic Frost investigation appears more wide-ranging than initially believed in Biden's DOJ effort to take down President Trump and his supporters. The nearly 200 pages of documents provide new insights into the sweeping investigation aimed at Trump World, which was launched by the FBI under then still walking around free and having a great time director Chris Wray, and later picked up by former DOJ special counsel Jack, I'm having fun in the Caribbean, Smith, under then Attorney General Merrick the Marsupial Garland. The committee, led by Rep. Jim Jordan, another guy just nearly non-existent, said the 45 individuals, including former Trump White House advisor Steve Bannon, Scott Perry from Pennsylvania, New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, Trump DOJ official Jeffrey Clark, former Trump attorney John Eastman, Rep. Mark Meadows, were potentially under investigation. Potentially under investigation? Jeffrey Clark had his life ruined. John Eastman had his life ruined. And so did Mark Meadows, as far as I'm concerned. So how do you fix that? They get away with it? They're still getting away with it? You can't get the leg irons out at any one of these people? The GOP-led committee argued that another 111 individuals, including Trump trade advisor Peter Navarro, who was put in prison, and Bannon mentioned earlier, who was put in prison. They put our people in prison. They destroyed 1,600 people's lives and put them in prison. And we don't have the guts to put any one of these people in prison, and we got all the receipts on all of them? Trump's senior advisor, Dan Scavino, former Trump DOJ official Jeff Rosen, and current DOJ weaponization czar Ed Martin were also potentially under investigation. Yeah, they were definitely under investigation. This makes my blood boil. All right, take three. LA attorneys. This is just as bad. How the hell can this be going on? LA attorneys and politicians, all lefties, call this the kiddie stroll. The kiddie stroll. Wait till you hear this. Gavin Newsom's prostitution shield law, in other words, not trying to get rid of prostitution, making sure they're protected from police, creates a sex market full of 12 and 13-year-old girls in downtown LA. Everyone knows about it. The attorneys and the politicians call it the kiddie stroll on Figueroa Avenue. The kiddie stroll. This is so evil. The New York Times has shown a spotlight on the Democrats' long ignored kiddie stroll sex market on Los Angeles' Figueroa Street, yet the newspaper downplayed the pimp shield law pushed by a libertarian Democratic legislator, Rep. Scott Wiener, and signed by California Governor Slick Gavin Newsom. These guys are all allowing this to happen, protecting it so that it can happen. And what are we talking about? This trafficking, we can't find these people. There's a whole bunch of them on Figueroa Avenue and have been since 2022. And the governor is protecting what's going on. Or the 77th Street Division, which covers the northern half of the Figueroa corridor, prostitution had always been a problem. But in recent years, the officers had seen the magnitude of child sex trafficking explode. Gangs that had long sold drugs. Trump, last Friday, you said, huge meeting from the bottom rung of law enforcement to the top. We're coordinating the whole thing. The gangs are going to be gone. How about starting right here on Figueroa in LA? Gangs that had long sold drugs began to take advantage of Figueroa's lucrative opportunity. With a dozen girls, one trafficker could easily make $12,000 a night. 12-year-olds making this pig $12,000 a night. Drugs are sold once and gone forever, but girls can be sold indefinitely. Motel owners who noticed the parades of customers but feared the gangs' retribution kept quiet. Who's keeping quiet? The attorneys in the courts and the politicians, they call this the kiddie stroll. But the Democrat-run state has cut funding for cops and handcuffed their efforts to pull young girls, some aged 12, from the sex trafficking street, the newspaper noted. Get this stuff. As trafficking grew, the means to deal with it shrank. In 2021, the police department's Central Human Trafficking Unit was disbanded. It means they're promoting this. They're promoting this because powerful people want it. The Central Human Trafficking Unit was disbanded following budget cuts, leaving each division fewer resources to tackle the problem. According to Navarro, who they were interviewing about this, the 77th Street Division was supposed to have 6 investigators, and it's only got 1, this woman. Their jobs grew even more challenging when California repealed the law allowing the police to arrest women who loitered with the intent to engage in prostitution. Do you get this? That's how they used to roust them and make this unprofitable. Constantly, if you keep hanging out here, I'm going to arrest you. Then the politicians said, oh, we'll take care of that. We'll pass a law that says you can't do that because that means you're profiling these prostitutes. You don't know that they're young girls. You can't do that. That's illegal. So they passed a law to make it illegal. The repeal, known as SB 357, was intended to prevent profiling of Black, brown, and trans women based on how they dressed. But when it was implemented in January of 23, the effect was that uniformed officers could no longer apprehend groups of young girls in lingerie on Figueroa, hoping to recover minors among them. Now officers needed to be willing to swear they had reason to suspect each girl was underage. But with fake eyelashes and wigs, it was nearly impossible to tell. One girl told Vice officers that her trafficker had explained things succinctly. We run Figueroa now, he said. By the end of 2023, the city attorney had taken to calling Figueroa the kiddie stroll because so many of the girls weren't even 13 years old. Governor Gavin Slick Newsom signed the police handcuff bill after it was pushed by Weiner and his far-left allies, who passed SB 357 in 2022. I mean, look, this is so appalling and evil. And this is not America, and it needs to stop. Okay. And I don't want to hear about all the big trade deals. Okay. There is incredible human suffering going on, and people just look the other way. They call it the kiddie stroll. Where are you, Trump? I know where you are. You're getting a big plaque, medal, and crown over in South Korea. What kind of joke is that? That was an ally, that president over there. And when our CIA and the CCP were doing a color revolution on him, you did nothing. You said nothing. And now there's a CCP puppet over there, and you're over there getting plaques and all this stuff. I don't get you sometimes, man. I don't. All right, take 4. DEI for owls. I am not kidding you. Diversity, equity, and inclusion for owls. Unless you think this is some little goof I'm doing, the cost, guess how much it costs to do DEI for owls? $1.35 billion with a B for bozos. We're the bozos. We pay $1.35 billion. The Fish and Wildlife Services, $1.35 billion. Barred owl extermination plan, right? One owl, he's not PC. There's another owl that there's not enough of. So we're going to kill the owls that there's too many of. And guess what? It costs per owl. And I'm going to tell you how much. The Fish and Wildlife Service's $1.35 billion barred owl extermination plan epitomizes bureaucratic insanity. It's not insane. There's so many people getting paid out of that fund, and there's one guy with a 22 out there in the woods. Spending $3,000 per owl to artificially prop up a weaker species isn't conservation. It's ecological central planning. This DEI for owls madness mirrors Washington's obsession with equalizing outcomes rather than respecting natural competition. While the spotted owl population dwindled under Biden's failed managed fire policies that torched millions of acres with spotted owls in them, the solution isn't taxpayer-funded avian affirmative action. Lawmakers rightly call this a fiscal and ethical disaster. Prioritizing owl equity over border security, energy dominance, or auditing the $150 billion wasted annually on illegal immigration. Nature rewards adaptability. Government rewards incompetence. And here's the incompetence. From the Palisade fires to the spotted owl to these stupid, ruthless, and gonif Democrats stealing constantly from us in every direction, okay? They don't manage the woodlands, right? Because they have some other ecological tree-hugging nonsense going on. So the woodlands are a tinderbox, whether it's on the coast at the Palisades or in the Rockies. Every year there's a fire season, okay? You could do some managed burns. You could do some pulling out of down trees. You could do a lot of things to not make it so explosive. But because you don't do the right thing, you don't do the common sense thing, now this owl population is lower. You wiped out the whole lumber industry in Oregon over this spotted owl decades ago. That was a complete travesty. And you don't like that industry. You don't like people who cut down trees. You don't think we need wood anymore, right? So you come up with these boondoggles. When are we going to get a government that has any common sense? That Congress, those people have been out of town for this whole shutdown. They're not doing crap. Take 5. It's another one. You know what? I might have to go take my pills if I keep reading these things. Take 5 is Jerome the loser, Jerome, the head of the Fed, right? The guy who has been keeping a lid on the economy, the guy who's destroying the housing market. Why? Because he's the tool of the lefty billionaires. They don't want your money to grow. They don't want you to be able to buy a house. Okay, so they put a clown like this in power. We need to get rid of the Fed. But before that, we need to get rid of Jerome. Trump, do you have any power? You got any stones? Is that just golf balls down there? Can we see it? Jerome, cut. Here it comes. 0.25% today. Don't like it, but I'm going to lower it 0.25%. On the day that NVIDIA is valued at $5 trillion. Jerome's not confident in the markets. This is so bad. The CEO of NVIDIA is completely in league with the CCP. And he's got the highest valued chip company on the market. First time a company's been valued at $5 trillion. And he's in league with the mortal enemy of the United States. It's Mamdani for stocks. And Jerome's chintzy, awful, stupid 0.25 choice today sends a huge negative message to the markets. The Federal Reserve on Wednesday approved its second straight interest rate cut, though Chair Jerome the loser Powell rattled markets when he threw doubt on whether another reduction is coming in December. By a 10-2 vote, the central bank's Federal Open Market Committee lowered its benchmark overnight borrowing rate to a range of 3.75 to 4, right? That's what banks have to pay to use the money. In addition to the rate move, the Fed announced that it would be ending the reduction of its asset purchases, a process known as quantitative tightening, on December 1, which doesn't work and isn't applicable in this situation. Governor Stephen Myron again cast a dissenting vote, preferring the Fed move more quickly with a half-point cut. Wow, what a risk taker. Kansas City Fed President Jeffrey Schmid joined Myron in dissenting, but for the opposite reason. He preferred the Fed not cut at all. Myron is an appointee of President Donald Trump. Great pick, who has pushed hard on the committee to lower rates quickly. Jerome is a zero, and he needs to go. Okay, that's all there is to it. The rate also sets a benchmark for a variety of consumer products such as auto loans, mortgages, and credit cards. The post-meeting statement did not provide any direction on what the committee's plans for December. At September meeting, officials indicated the likelihood of 3 total cuts this year. The Fed meets once more in December, and Jerome is foreshadowing that you're not getting a cut. That is bad news for markets. It's really bad news for the real estate market. So, you know what? Trump, Pam, Cash, you are all beginning to look really feckless. That these little dweeby, I don't have a nice word for them, can stand in the way and stop all the progress. Okay? And I understand that the president is out there making great deals and bringing $20 trillion of investment that we will see spread out over the next 3 years. Some of those factories may not even be open by the end of the 3rd year. So we need to see some justice. And we need to see people like Jerome out, because they could have popped that thing down by a full point and the housing market would have caught fire. It would have been dynamic. It's unbelievable. Just, it's terrible. Jerome is a tool of the billionaire left. They don't want Trump to have a raging real estate market. They don't want to have all of the positive things that would come from doing that. You imagine if you could refinance for a lower mortgage payment, you could get a car for a lower payment. All of these things would happen and improve your life. And instead, because they think we're a bunch of dumbasses, they talk to us about eggs and gas. Eggs are cheaper now. Yes, they are. And gas is cheaper. It's not under $2 yet, but he keeps saying he wants to do it. Oh, I hope so. I'm so sick of this crap. All right, take 6. This is our advanced reprobate mind study. And this is not a goof, this study. Okay, this is meant to be instructive because it's how decisions get made on people who make threats. So our obviously infected ARMS person is Larry Bushart. He's a retired police officer in Tennessee. And his case is being reviewed by Jonathan Turley, a really great objective attorney and professor. I think he's at Georgetown. So let's hear. There is a concerning free speech case out of Tennessee where a retired police officer was arrested after posting anti-Charlie Kirk messages on the internet. So look, I love Charlie Kirk, and I don't even want to talk about that situation because there is so much bad lurking all around it. I feel so sorry that he got surrounded by evil when he was trying to do so much good. But that's what evil does. And this is Satan's playland. And it was horrible to see that. And guess what? They didn't get what they wanted. We were supposed to be flipped out and demoralized. It was the same thing they planned with Trump in Pennsylvania. He was supposed to be up there, bodacious, and then had half his brains blown out on camera in front of everybody. But God stepped in on it, okay? For reasons we will not know until we get to heaven. He did not intervene on Charlie's behalf. So here's this retired cop talking smack about Charlie, which he is allowed to do based on the First Amendment. Okay? I don't like it, but it's the law. He can say what he wants. So here's how the law comes down on it. Retired police officer was arrested after posting anti-Charlie Kirk messages on the internet. Larry Bushart, 61, of Lexington, Tennessee, was arrested for threatening a mass shooting at a school. But the cited messages do not support such a claim. Indeed, his comments appear to be protected political speech under governing Supreme Court precedent. I have written about Charlie's legacy, fighting for free speech, and how recent terminations and cancel campaigns of his critics dishonor that legacy. You get what he's saying? He's saying he respects Charlie, but Charlie would not want all this cancellation of his critics. He was fighting for that First Amendment right for everybody. Bushart is clearly one of the unhinged voices on the internet who trolls and inflames others, right? This is a guy with no life. So this is how he gets his human interaction. He incites people on the internet. At his arrest, even Bushart admitted that he is a bit of an asshole, but insisted that he is not a criminal. He appears correct on both counts. Bushart was charged September 22nd with making threats of mass violence at a school. However, he is not scheduled for a preliminary and bond hearing until December 4th. That delay is also troubling since his bond is set at an astronomical $2 million. So the judicial system in Lexington, Tennessee, is punishing this guy for what he said and making sure that he's going to stay in jail for some months. Buschert is a former police officer with the Huntington Police Department and was arrested after posting on a Perry County community Facebook group page. There was a planned vigil for Charlie Kirk in Linden, Tennessee on September 23rd. Perry County Sheriff Nick Weems accused Buschert of posting what he called hate memes about Kirk's death. Weems correctly noted that such memes are not illegal, but one appeared to cross the line. One meme showed Trump saying, "We have to get over it." A direct quote from the president after January 24th school shooting in Perry County, Iowa. This is Perry County, Tennessee, right? So this he's not stupid what he's doing, okay? That left 1 dead and 7 wounded. The phrase, "this seems relevant today," appears above the photo of this other school shooting. The Tennessean's Angela Latham found that the meme was posted numerous times across multiple social media platforms not connected to Buschert going back to 2024. However, Buschert was quickly visited by the police. Undeterred, he posted on the account, "Received a visit from Lexington PD regarding my posted memes." He's getting what he wants. He wants attention. He doesn't want to kill people. He wants attention. He was later arrested on a charge of threats of mass violence on school property and activities because he said, "This seems relevant today." A conviction could bring as much as 6 years in prison. The U.S. Supreme Court has previously protected hyperbole and rejected claims that political speech could fall under the true threat exception to the First Amendment. The question is, what clarity is necessary to sustain a criminal charge? No, wait a minute. I got out of order here. The Tennessee case appears to fall substantially short of these prior cases. Weems insisted that he posted the picture to indicate or make the audience think it was referencing our Perry High School. This led teachers, parents, and students to conclude he was talking about a hypothetical shooting at our school. People reached out in concern. However, that interpretation was not shared by others who commented on the posting, including critics. It was viewed by many as simply Buschert dismissing the killing of Kirk as something that we should get over. The question is, what clarity is necessary to sustain a criminal charge? Buschert has a protected right to rail against Kirk and, in his words, be an asshole. The case is likely to focus on the political speech element, including Weems' own writings on Kirk after the assassination. Weems mourned the loss and warned about the evil in our midst. Evil could be your neighbor, he wrote. Evil could be standing right beside you in the grocery store. It could be your own family member, and you never even know it. I'm not so sure that Police Chief Weems is helping with that kind of verbiage, but you think Buschert should go to jail for 6 years for this? I mean, it's completely irresponsible what he does, but he's allowed to do it. I don't like that he's doing it. But you know what? If this isn't really clear to everybody, then at whatever point the left gets power again, we will be completely censored and shut down. So when you're watching all these paid to riot lefties, right, claiming we live in a fascist state, They're screaming every ugly thing in the world about not just Trump, but about the whole movement that put Trump into power. And nobody's stopping them from saying it because nobody should. This is America. So, anyway, sorry, this was a high blood pressure show, and I didn't even realize that would happen. So, I just want you to know I'm not that angry, and you don't have to report me for this show. And you do have something to do, though. You have to like us. I want you to like us. I want you to make comments. I want you to ring that little bell when you go to the website. I want you to push us out. But here's what I really want to do. Despite my frustration and anger at our country and the dysfunctional way that we go about everything and our tolerance for evil and incompetent leadership that just is about gaining power and money, ultimately, God knows the end game of this whole thing. And so I see comfort in that. Jesus said, you can't trust humans. They're a fallen group, and they will constantly be attracted to any shiny object. But I still believe that good things are coming for the United States of America. And it is very frustrating that it takes so much time and we see anything but justice being performed. So I'm going to ask God to put his hand over me and you and the entire country and to bless us, because we need his blessing, because there's a famine. There's actually two famines. There's a famine of the Word of God, and there's a famine of truth. And the sooner we solve those famines, the better our country is going to become. So God bless you. Have a great hump day, and let's get on with it. All right. Take care. Have a good Wednesday.